Welcome back to Torch Sports and a very exciting time on Rocky Top because they've been itching for it. Basketball is finally back. When I looked at Mercer, I really didn't think that the point differential was as much as I thought it would be, and the turnovers, my gosh. Tennessee had 19 turnovers compared to Mercer that had 5. That's got to stop. It's got to stop. Sloppy passes. Everybody was in such a rush. A big-time rush, might I add. Tennessee faced both of the Big Blues this week on the field against Kentucky, but also the first time on the court this year against the Big Duke Blue Devils. Duke starts the season at number 6 on the AP preseason polls, with Tennessee falling behind at the 18th spot. Vols had a very hot start, with many new guys making their debut in orange, including Tennessee native Jacoby Gillespie coming from Maryland, and the number 4 top prospect in the 2025 recruiting class, Nate Ament. But the blue debut in the Boozer twins and Cameron Boozer with 24 points made a lasting start to his collegiate career. Duke barely wins the exhibition Sunday night, 83-76. In that regard, though, they're doing pretty good. And I think when you look at Tennessee and Auburn this year, they are such similar teams. If you go on the stat sheet, I think this will be one of the most even matchups that we've seen so far. I mean, look at their stats side by side. Not even a 1% difference in field goal percentage, average steals, average blocks. Both have 3 losses in SEC play. There's such similarities. They both went to overtime against Georgia.
I'll tell you, it doesn't matter how good Alabama is, how good Tennessee is. It's always going to be a close game. In 11 of the series' last 13 games, it was within a single-digit margin, and that's exactly how it's going to be tomorrow night as well. I think what you need is for Nate Ament to get hot, like always. The last Alabama game was when he had his first of 3 29-point games. And if you can have that standout game from him, if you can get 30 from him, he told us he didn't want to get 30, which I think is funny. But if you can get 30 from him, that's what I want to see. That Alabama game was where they said, Nate Ament, that guy's good.
My question to you guys is, will J.P. Estrella be back on the floor? What we didn't talk about yet is that he did not play against Oklahoma due to left foot soreness. And in the presser after the game, Barnes said that J.P. had been battling this a long time and didn't tell anyone about it. And they didn't give a timeline of when he would be back. And he's had double digits, 4 of his last 5 games played, 16 against LSU. That's a guy you need. I just can't see any way that LSU goes home with a win. This is going to be a cakewalk for Tennessee because of so many reasons. Saturday night game, dark mode, Valentine's Day. These college kids aren't going out taking their girlfriends to dinner. They're going to the dark mode game. I would. And if LSU wants a chance at this, they don't. They're coming into the Food City Center defeated. They had so many tough matchups on the road, 2-9 in the SEC. They're tied with Oklahoma and South Carolina for the worst records in the SEC. Why do you play exhibitions? So you can lose and it doesn't count. And that's why Rick Barnes chose Duke. That was the perfect team to pick so they could lose.
Tennessee played Duke.
But first, to address the elephant in the room. Reports came out yesterday that Lady Vol Ruby Whitehorn was charged with possession of marijuana Wednesday night at around 4:30 a.m. after an officer saw a car struggling to stay in its lane. The officer pulled the car over to find Whitehorn with 5.59 grams of marijuana. She is now facing a misdemeanor charge of simple possession just 2 months after she was suspended from the team. And this is just in August. She was arrested and facing felony charges, but that kind of got resolved. Guys, you're Kim Caldwell here. You've given her a second chance. Do you give her a third?
The key to this game here is making Nate Ament comfortable in Rupp Arena. Because if he is not comfortable and in a good headspace, you're not going to have 20 of your points. And I would say, not that I've played there, but I would say that's the most intimidating place to play besides Duke.
Well, I think it's worthy to mention that who Rick Barnes started in place of Nate Ament on Tuesday was Amari Evans. Now, he started and played 32 minutes. That's the second most behind Gillespie with 34 points, had 7 points, 3 steals. But here's the thing, he's a 50% guy. 50% field goals and free throws on Tuesday night against South Carolina when he had to come in for Bama for Ament after he got hurt. 50% field goals, 50% on his threes.
Now get this. This week he filed an emergency motion requesting the Alabama Supreme Court to respond by Friday so he could play against Tennessee. Now against Tennessee, he just had 13 points. So not that big of a deal. And Alabama's 5-0 without Bediako. yesterday. He played in a FIBA game in Canada. So I doubt he's going to show up.
He
It's
better
crazy.
not.
I criticized his confidence at the beginning of the year, and I questioned why Barnes gave him the amount of playing time he did.
Well, he's the biggest program recruit ever.
Well, that don't matter when you're not shooting.
Amen.
But, the last 2 games, he's been the only one with the guts to go to the paint.
Exactly.
Gillespie
Because he's
won't go to the
progressing, he's
paint.
developing.
I told you guys last week 2 things had to be done in the Kentucky game. And I said, number 1, you have to make Ament comfortable. Number 2, you have to lock down Oweh. And they did one of the 2. Nate Ament was comfortable.
He is comfortable, that's
But Oweh also was. Rick Barnes is just, there's so many things I admire about Rick. His faith, his kindness, his whole story is so inspiring, and there's no better coach to be rewarded with something like this. And you know, just in what you heard him say about Wes Rucker, my thoughts and prayers go out to his family and his kids and the little girl on the way. That just breaks my heart. But that shows you what type of man that Barnes is.